So a lot of people today are wondering, what else can I do? We've got so much disposable time in the day. Maybe you've actually got more time than what you think you've got. If you had to take the average amount of hours and minutes that you use to look at your phone, why are you looking at your phone? Because you want to see what someone else is doing, what someone else's content. Why can't it be your content that people are looking at? All of us have brilliant ideas from time to time, and we don't know always how to start those brilliant ideas. We don't know who we can entrust with those brilliant ideas. So yesterday, Stefan and I and the wives and one extra lady, we were sitting and talking, and they said, let's do this on a regular basis. This is actually meeting number 4. So if you haven't watched the previous sessions, I would advise you just to follow my YouTube channel and have a look at all the previous videos. Stefan, from your side.
Well, yes, the meeting yesterday was totally a success, and we also decided there that we need to stand together and look how beautiful this group is busy growing and how we're busy integrating and sharing with one another. But first of all, I want to say our condolences with your dad's passing away as well. I'm sorry about that, and all the best for you and your family about with everything that needs to go with that as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, each one of us, like you said, each one of us has got something that the other one needs. It's totally the Ubuntu that we are busy with. I am because we are. And that is so important for all of us all around the world to say, you know what, I am not alone. We are here for one another, and let's see how we can help one another. And this is where I'm so happy with the road we had to walk to be here. There's never a time that it's unnecessary that why we are getting together or why we meet each other. Even if that platform doesn't exist anymore, but we have made the connections, our spirits connected, and that is so, so important. And I'm so thankful that we are so many people, and so many people are listening to this, and that how do we build it is because we trust one another, or we're learning how to trust. The monetary system is just a system that's it's a pillar that's there. And we need to realize these pillars are busy falling, and this is why so many of us are struggling at this moment. And we must be careful with what do we replace it. We can't place it just with the same thing with a different coating on it. No, we must make sure that money is just there. It's a form of an energy that we just give and receive. And we are all learning. The system that we used to use is not there anymore. It's not working anymore. It's busy crumbling. So this is why some of us are struggling, or most of us are struggling at this stage. And nothing wrong with that. Thank God for places and platforms like this where we can help one another about it. And that is what is important to me at this stage. Thank you, Ron.
Oh, great. We started, because we moved to a small town, we started a business forum in the town. And we said, anybody that wants to earn an extra income, please join us. But we want to meet face to face. Now, with this platform, we are meeting face to face virtually. So we can see each other, talk to each other virtually. And there are many opportunities that are available that we are not even aware of and they're at our doorstep. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, we sat with a few people, and almost everybody is involved in growing plants or herbs or vegetables in some way or another, just like in their yard. And then I said to them, are you folks aware of how much food farmers are dumping at the moment? like bucky loads of tomatoes, bucky loads of onions. And when I asked the people the question, why are they dumping them? They said, because they are not perfect. Now, this is the housewife's problem. This is the woman that goes shopping problem. She goes and looks for fruit and vegetables, and she holds it up in the air and she says, this doesn't look good. So she puts it down. And then the guy that's selling it ends up having to get rid of it or give it to the pig farmer or something like that. So the farmer, he because of the fussy housewife, he has to keep dumping stuff. And that's why a lot of fruit and vegetables have been moved to the black market, or not black market, but the genetically modified market. It's pretty much the same. Genetically modified foods are a problem to our society today. One of the very first genetically modified GM foods was maize. And when we found out why are they genetically modifying maize, they just said, well, so that the insects can't get into them. They can't break into them and eat them up. So they make it so strong that it cannot be eaten up or eaten into, which poses a problem for us as humans and our digestive systems. So what I said to the folks was, how many people do you know of that are hungry today? Now we're going into winter. In the small town, certain times of the year are good times for people because they use a lot of workers to help harvesting. But other times where there's not a lot of crops, there is definitely a problem that people don't have enough food. They go hungry. And if bucky loads of vegetables get dumped, who eats them? They just lie there to rot. So why can't we find who those farmers are and get people like soup kitchens, or we can make canned bottled stuff and preserve it and resell it if necessary. So the world has endless possibilities, but while we are working a job, we find ourselves very, very focused to get to work, to home, to work, to home, to work. I think some of you who are living in big cities, you probably have 4 hours a day to yourself or less. Because if you're waking up in the morning at 5 and you're getting home in the afternoon at 5, you spend 12 hours slaving away for a boss. Then you sleep for 8 hours. So you got 20 hours a day that you sleep and work. The rest is maybe available to you and your family. And maybe that time you don't even give your family time and attention. So what we would like to do is we want to expand your minds by offering you, by sharing ideas with each other that can help each other grow, even if it's earning 100 or 200 or 500 Rand a day, and increase that income by building a small empire for yourself, just starting part-time. If you only have 3 or 4 hours a day, why not spend 1 to 2 hours with ideas, with doing something at home in the convenience of your home to make an extra income? I know of a lady who lost her job at the age of 55, and she got home and she decided she's going to start making pancakes. And she bought one of those these little wagon trailer things that you cook food in, and she stopped at a place where people pass every day, and she actually put grandchildren through university with pancake money. And so often what people think, and we mentioned this the other day, is you want to start a business. So you go to the bank and you loan money and you buy yourself a new 4x4 double cab bucky for 1.2 million. And then you start looking for jobs. You're doing that the wrong way around. And that's a problem, is you want to look good before you actually are good to look good. So this is why we want in this time to share ideas that are necessary for the market. The stock market is crashing. If you don't know that, go and look at a graph of the Dow Jones and see the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq and all of these places. They are looking like seriously dropping. And what we need to remember is that what's important for us is that we carry on looking around, finding ways, things that people need. And that's why we want to make it as interactive as possible, so that if you've got what is it, an idea that you want to discuss, then place the message in the chat box and say, I've got an idea, I would like to discuss it, and put some thoughts forward, because our minds never stop working. Even while you're sleeping, your mind is working, and you need to create some kind of some momentum, because the way we did business before the pandemic is totally different to the way we do business now. We thought we needed to be living in a big city to be able to survive. Our business went totally online, and we started teaching people how to trade on a platform like this, teaching people how to make money in the markets. And it was so good that after 7 years, we found a solution. We found a way that people cannot lose money in the markets. You say how that's too good to be true. There are lots of things in life that we learn from experience. When we don't know how something works and somebody says it works, then it might seem to be good to be true. Somebody said the old lie by the multi-level marketing industry, fake it till you make it. I enjoy cooking. I make marmalade with sugar and a bag of oranges. So you see, that is now one of the things that we decided to do, is because there are people in town that are doing things, making jam, making tin things. We have people making bread in town. So we created a WhatsApp group for the town, so that if you have something that you make, that you sell, place it on the WhatsApp group. And then one step further, we meet once a week, once in 2 weeks, and we show each other's products and taste each other's products. And oh, that's nice. And you meet the person face to face. So it's not a distant thing anymore. But for a lot of us, some of us are living across the world. We're not all in South Africa. We might need to find other ways of making money. And how do we make money? The simplest way to make money is, the bigger the problem that you're solving, the more money you're going to make. So if you're solving people's problems, you're making money. Now we have a war going on. Well, we got several wars going on at the moment. Only one of them is being broadcasted. And all the other wars are created or being waged by the Americans. And when the Russians wage war, then that's not the right thing. But war creates opportunities for a certain sector in the market. And that's the exciting thing, because if you look at the Second World War, the new technology that came out of the Second World War as a result of hard times was amazing. So it actually made people think harder, and not to sit in your comfort zone all the time and you know, well, I'm happy with my job. When I met my wife and I asked her, what does she do for a living? She said, no, well, I work for an airline. I said, how often do you get paid? She said, no, I get paid a salary once a month. So I said, and what about the rest of the month? And she's like, what do you mean about the rest? She's only getting paid once, but what about getting paid every other day of the month? And that got her thinking, because now we are being used to the slave system, and we're used to being going back and forth, and we get paid once. And I know very few people that know actually how to handle their finances, how to handle their money, because at the end of the day, your income isn't good enough to last you the whole month. It might last you a week or two. So like, I think Robert Mugabe said the first month of the week of the month, you eat chicken. And the second month you eat chicken feet. And then the third week you eat rice. And the fourth week you eat pap. And that's the reality of life. Nobody told us this is the way life will be. We had to find out. If my parents said to me, go and do something that you don't have to struggle like we are struggling, I might have thought differently about life. But everyone just tells their children, go out and get a job. So what ideas have you, let's see, Olufemi, so nice to see you. What's the most valuable thing you have? Once you know, would you like to keep it? All right. Would you like to unmute yourself, Doc, and share something with us?
Thank you very much, Ruel. I wasn't going to stick my nose in, but I thought we should all take a minute to think about the most valuable thing we've got is the health we've got. If you haven't got health, you've got nothing. I had a patient once who had millions and millions, and she was prepared to give me almost half of her millions to be able to be without pain for 1 hour. And I turned it down. I gave her something that removed her pain but she was dead 2 days later. All the millions didn't save her, didn't do anything. But the thing that we need to understand is that the body we live in constantly gives us warning about things going wrong. There is nothing that happens to you all of a sudden. I don't believe in sudden deaths. The body has been offering warning after warning after warning. It's either you don't understand the warning or you ignore it. How would you like to be in a position where you can see the red lights lined up over the next 4 years? If you don't do something now, those red lights are going to become a major problem. And you can do something in the now to turn it around. I'll use an example. I use myself as an example. I know from studies that the Black man does not make enough vitamin D to keep himself safe. Even if he sits in the sun the whole day, he can't, because the skin that he has melanin, which will shield off most of the rays of the sun that is supposed to turn cholesterol under the skin to vitamin D. So naturally, we can't make much of it. And it is because of that the Black man and the Black woman are more prone to prostate cancer and breast cancer, simply because of that deficiency. 15 years ago, I found out that my vitamin D level was 41.5. The range is supposed to be between 125 and 250. I was 41.5. I was a disaster waiting to happen. But I have corrected it now. And in the last time I checked, about a few months ago, I was about 175. So I have removed one danger signal. And there are many, many of them, but you can only find out when you have somebody who knows where to look and what to look for. Thank you, Ruel.
Thank you, Doc. Yeah, you see, that is now we're just talking about identifying problems. Now, a lot of people that are probably listening in on this call or will watch the video afterwards will say, oh, I didn't know that. And what are the signs, the emotional signs of a low vitamin D count?
The major problem is that it has no sign at all. Actually, that it is one of those things that your body uses so much of so quickly that if you become deficient in it, a number of body systems will begin to go offline, and you will not be aware of it until it's too late. It's the same way they talk about high blood pressure. Most of the people who are walking about have high blood pressure, but they're completely unaware of it. And most high blood pressures are found out by mistake, by chance. You go to the hospital with a friend or with your wife or with your daughter, and somebody chooses to check your blood pressure and they found out it's sky high. And that is one of the reasons why it's so important to be ahead of the curve rather than chasing the curve. The body will do the best it can with what it's got. And we've got to understand one thing. Most of the things that you need you will probably find in your food if you have enough of a good diet. You should. But the unfortunate thing is that the food industry has taken us so far away from what is normal that, I mean, the University of Texas did a research. This was almost 30 years ago now, where they found that our food has lost 64% of the nutrients in them. When WHO started talking about you eating fruits and vegetables to avoid chronic illness and diseases, they were saying you need to eat maybe 3 to 5 portions of fruits and vegetables. Now, they're asking you to eat between 13 and 15 portions of fruits and vegetables. Why? Because those fruits and vegetables no longer contain the nutrients that they should have. My grandfather would have eaten one orange and gotten very good vitamin C out of it. To get the same amount of vitamin C that he would have gotten, I will need to eat about 15 oranges. I have told people who would listen that you cannot eat your way out of a problem once it has established. It's impossible. Even if you choose to eat all of the vegetables that are available to you, you will need to go to the market with a wheelbarrow to be able to buy enough vegetables to serve you for one day. You haven't got the stomach to eat it in. Your stomach can't take it. So you've got to find the right kind of supplementation that will support what you're eating. And that is critical. Thank you, Ruel.
Thank you, Doc. I was just thinking of something now because the vitamin D, as a Caucasian person or Eurasian, whatever they call it, is when our vitamin D levels drop, we get depressed and we go into depression. I have seen so many people that are sad and depressed and they never go outside.
Absolutely.
And they will say, and it's all the pharmaceutical companies that have told you, don't go out into the sun. And if you do, you must use the strong sunscreen. And yes, I know that, and the sunscreen also causes skin cancer if it's above 24.
Of course. Yep.
So the problem is that the world out there, the guys that are making the most money are wanting us to stay sick and wanting us to depend on them. And one of the things that came to my mind also while you were talking is that a lot of times people want to progress in their life. They've got brilliant ideas, but they cannot make that idea happen because they are not healthy enough. And I say health is not physical.
Absolutely.
Physical health is only the manifestation of the emotional health, the spiritual health that has gone down. So when
Absolutely.
you start letting go of any parts of your life and you say, well, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to like go get drunk every night. That is just causing new problems. It
Exactly.
becomes eventually manifests into something else. And unfortunately, quick fixes or quick solutions are the ones that are going to cost our health and our life in the end.
You are absolutely correct. And one other thing that I would add quickly here is that you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created that problem.
Well,
You would always fall short.
That was what Einstein quoted. I think he was one of the first to say that. And when I read it, because somebody said to me yesterday or the 2 days ago that some problem that they found themselves in, and they were very depressed. And then I said, but you cannot carry on doing what you're doing every day. So if you're waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have to start waking up at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. You're going to have to start adding things onto your diet. I mean, us men, us men, we don't look after our skins like the women do. We don't look after our health like the women do. One lady, she told me that her father, her mother didn't look after the father, and the father looked like a tramp. And she went and bought nice clothes by the clothing stores for her father because the mother was only looking after herself and not wanting. And you know, the verse that says love your neighbor, it doesn't say love your neighbor. It says love your neighbor as
yourself,
as you love yourself. So if I look in the mirror and I say, how well am I looking after myself? How well I'm looking after myself is how well I'm looking after my wife and my family and everyone else. And a lot of people are maybe extreme. What they do is they spend so much time to try and see that everyone's happy that they don't help themselves or don't look after themselves. They end up sacrificing themselves. Well, that's what Dr. John Demartini says is when you have very high expectations of others, you want to please people all the time. If that person then lets you down, then your whole world crumbles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to note. I will say something in the past in here. You talked a little bit about depression. And where our doctors have gotten it wrong or steered us in the wrong direction is when you have depression, we throttle out these little blue pills or pink pills or whatever to try and give you a lift. Most of those drugs that we give contain something that we call SSRIs. They help your brain to hold on to serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone. But 80% of the serotonin in your body is made in your gut. So what we need to do is balance your gut to produce more. And 90 to 92% of the people who face serious clinical depression have terrible guts. If they were to clean out their gut and balance the microorganisms in there, the depression will disappear. But the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to know that. And it's just terrible that we keep going round in circles like a mouse chasing its own tail. We'll never get anywhere until, like you said, Ruel, we choose to stand up for ourselves and do something different.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Stefan, I can see you wanting to say something. Your head is shaking.
No, I'm so agreeing. You know what is nice, Ruel, is that even if we speak about the medical field here, it's in all our whatever we are taking or partaking in this world, it's exactly the same thing. Everything we want to do is we have to go down and see if our gut is not right. If I'm right, doctor, what we've got one nerve going from the head to the gut, but from the gut to the head, we've got 9 or something like that. Or I might be wrong, but I know there's the biggest brain is in the gut, not in your
Absolutely,
not here.
absolutely.
So even more to take care of that before we can start building onto this.
Absolutely correct. I mean,
years
the
ago,
thing is, there is a bigger brain in your belly than you have in your head. And like you just said there, Blockies, the highways between the gut and the brain are so firmly established. They are like 6-car highways, and you ignore them at your peril, right? From your adrenals to the middle of your brain, from your thyroid to the middle of your brain, from your kidneys to the middle of your brain. Any of the other things, signals that happen in your gut is interpreted up there, but the reaction needs to come back down. So you don't heal from the gut up, you don't heal from the brain down, you heal from the gut up. And if you can straighten the gut out, 60–70% of the problem you're facing will suddenly begin to disappear.
What is that saying that all of us have is trust your gut feeling.
Exactly. It's not without reason. And
Exactly.
if you want to feel good, Ruel was saying about getting up earlier and all that, get out and dance and run and do whatever. Physical activity allows your body to generate some hormones, right, that will give you a lift. Have you ever seen a dancer who is depressed? No. They constantly produce these hormones in the brain that actually gives them a continuous lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doc, this is one of the subjects that was very dear to my heart, and that's why when I was in my early 20s, my dad taught me iris diagnosis, iridology, and I was doing this as a medical rep, going from selling medicine to pharmacies, but I actually did iris diagnosis, and most of the problems that the Japanese doctor that started it, he said that there's nerves connected right around your colon, right from the top to the bottom, and they connected also to the furthest extremes of your body. So if you've got your hands, you got like circulation problems, or in your hands, you tingling fingers and headaches, that's normally your digestive system or your colon that's spreading the toxins away from your vital parts.
Yeah.
And people that suffer with headaches a lot, like, migraines and stuff, is often they constipated or they don't have enough good roughage in the diet. And I'm not talking about wheat bix and all bran flakes. That's the worst stuff to have. I mean, if you go and crush wheat bix and all bran flakes, you'll see there's iron filings in that food. You get a magnet, but I'm talking about proper fruit and vegetables and stuff like that.
But in the fruits and vegetables that we have these days, there is so much pesticides that some of them could actually kill you. If you're going to eat fruits now, I suggest that you soak them first in hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah.
Soak them in hydrogen peroxide, and most of the oily film that you see on top of it are the pesticides that are around your apples and around your pears and all that. If you eat those ones, you're creating more problems for your system. And whatever little good you're getting from the fruit is wasted, because you end up in bigger trouble than before you started.
One of the problems I've seen is in England, where you stay in, Doc, there's all this spraying in the skies of this. I mean, I look at all of these documentaries, and the skies are sprayed all over with these chemtrails. So, I mean, that all gets into the food eventually anyway.
Yes, unfortunately, you were talking about the women looking after themselves, and that is partially right. But I'll pull us up short a little bit. Women actually absorb 13.5 kilograms of toxins from their cosmetics every year.
Yes, because of the mineral oil that they use. That's why even Vaseline is one of the worst products that you can take.
Yeah, that unfortunately came from John D. Rockefeller, when he realized with the byproduct of the oils, is to make everything from the plant-based, which are normal medicine was made in those days, to switch it over to the petroleum-based industry as well.
Yeah.
But Doc, to come back to you, what you said about the veggies and the fruit and so on, in our house, at our house, we feed the birds and so on, and I've got some of the birds that eat only fruit, and I love to give them apples. And all of a sudden I changed, I couldn't find a normal brand that I normally buy for them. I got something else. And they eat the inside of the apple, because I cut it in half and give it to them like that. They eat the inside all of a sudden, they leave the skin.
Yep.
I said to Alessia, I said, you know what, let me do a test. I took a new apple and I washed it properly. And then I presented it again. And they ate the whole apple, even the skin. There's the
Of course,
answer.
the birds and the ants and the animals are much wiser than we are. Look at your tomatoes. Your tomatoes are supposed to be full of goodness and all that. They like lycopene and all that. But the farmers no longer allow the tomatoes to ripen on the tree. Go to the supermarket, you'll find a box where they say ripened on the vine. And it costs you double the amount of the one that you normally can buy for peanuts. Now, why is that? When the tomato is ripening, it sends out these waves of pheromones, so that at the time it ripens, all the insects and all the birds know that the tomato is ripe. So they go after it, the slugs will go after it, they eat a little bit, the birds will go after it, they'll peck it and eat a little bit. So the farmers were beginning to lose something like 3 to 10% of their yield from what has been attacked. So what do? They pick the tomato when it is green. And then they spray it with auxin, which is the hormone that allows the tomato to ripen. And the tomato then ripens on the way to the market. So when it gets to the shops, it's looking nice and firm and red and juicy and all that, but there's nothing in it. Because when it's still green, the ants won't eat it, the insects won't eat it, the birds won't eat it. Those things are far wiser than we are. They know what to avoid, but we will eat anything. And I understand they're trying to make some fake meat for people to start eating now.
Yeah, so well, we're talking about opportunities, but often with opportunities, if we're not healthy, we can't focus on opportunities, and we can't focus at all.
Yeah.
And I know it's so bad that they say the average attention span of somebody watching a video is around 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, yeah, 3 minutes max.
Yes. And that only means is that our body is so toxic that we can't listen to anybody, or we can't listen to something anymore. We can't focus on anything anymore.
Yep. You're right.
And they also want now, with this TikTok and so on, it's down to 7 seconds now.
Yeah, that's because they're dumbing down.
Yeah.
The dumbing down and making everything a common denominator. I mean, they say make it idiot proof. Nothing good is idiot proof. You're either an idiot or you're not. If I cannot explain a simple process like we're talking about now to you, it doesn't matter how much I dumb it down, you're not going to get it. And by the time you think you got something out of it, what you've got is useless because you've lost the meat of what you're supposed to be picking up.
Just talking on these lines of YouTube now, and here's a tip I want to give you folks. There are programs nowadays you can download the YouTube videos also if you feel like you don't have time to watch it. You don't have to watch every video. You can play the video to yourself and tidy your house or do something else while you're listening. And if you get something out of that video that you really need to be there, you can pause it and replay that part that's important. So
Yeah.
our opportunity for learning is much greater these days.
True.
What I am doing, Ariel, is I've got on my phone on YouTube, there is the function that you can download it. I download it, put earphones in, and I get on my bicycle and start cycling. Because it's my time. I enjoy the cycling. I don't realize I get tired. So I enjoy the cycling, and I do 2 hours cycling and educating myself. That works.
So it's brilliant, guys. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you,
we really want to help people in all aspects of their lives. We could probably start a Zoom call and say, guys, pay money into this account and you're going to see 2% per day, because that's what people are looking for. People don't want to work for their money. People want easy money. And then 6 months down the line, the Ponzi scheme has fallen flat. And it's just, I've just got a message on my phone from an uncle who did one of my traders courses, but he didn't want to do the work. So every 6 months he joins something and he sends me the joining link. And he's now busy with something else. It's like, won't you learn your lesson? Because how do your friends look at you? Okay, we have been participating in such schemes in the past. And I can tell you that you make a lot of you make some good friends out of that, but you also distance your real good friends from you, because when you come to visit, it's like, what are you selling now? So we want to be a source of inspiration to people. And sometimes the current work you're doing, I'm going to have an interview with Alistair tomorrow, 10 o'clock. And I've already seen possibilities and opportunities which he possibly hasn't seen. I've just mentioned a few things to him. Things that people, when you are so consumed, and all of us are consumed by problems at the moment, whether it's financial or whether it's physical. We all are consumed by some kind of problems. I always say you either have your own problems or you have other people's problems. You can, it's a choice. You can choose. You want to look after other people, or, people look after you. But I find it's better for me to look after other people and then get paid for it.
True, correct. Absolutely correct. And it's in looking after other people that you end up looking after yourself.
Yes.
That is one thing I found out when I went into teaching, and I was teaching for almost 10 years, is the more you teach people, the more you show people how to do something, the better you get at doing it. And it's amazing the way it happens. I've been telling people to look after their health for the better part of 40 odd years. But I have learned now to begin to look after myself in ways that I had been describing to other people before. And people see me and say, why do you look so well? I said, well, if I tell you to do something, I will make sure that I do it first.
Precisely.
If I do it first, then I probably will be able to give you more information about how to do it, rather than simply spouting off what somebody else said. I have said, if you refuse to learn, that is all is criminal. We're all going to have to learn and relearn at some point. I mean, I became a doctor, 44 odd years ago. But what I have learned over the years is way over and beyond what I was taught in medical school. Actually, a lot of the things I'm doing now is not taught anywhere in any medical school.
Roald, what you were saying earlier there as well about the uncle that sends the link and so on. A lot of us that's on this channel and that's listening to this belong to certain platforms and so on. And we all got the problem with this one platform where we've got to bring in two people, because we are the people that's been into all those other network marketing things where we had to bring people in. So our friends don't want to believe us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because of exactly that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see Mumtaz is on the caller. Are you available to chat? You were part of the call, but you obviously had other things to do.
I'm here, Roel, and I'm listening to the whole conversation. Maybe I will add another time. It's been very interesting listening to everything that's going on. So, yeah, I think what we need to do is, I know we've touched on vitamin D and, everything else that you guys were talking about. And I think mental health is becoming a huge challenge. So if maybe we could have a session where, we could have Nelda and, Doc speak on mental health and why that is so important. I know you guys have touched on it, but for me personally, I feel that's a topic that we need to probably dedicate a whole hour to. So, yeah.
Yes, I mean, we actually started the session by discussing that all health problems actually start with mental health. That starts with things that, and I'm talking now for myself, my own family, that when I went to visit my dad, who just passed away last night, I looked at him and I said, there's something that he hasn't dealt with yet. And I started asking him questions, and he avoided, he ducked the questions, or he didn't understand what I was talking about. Now, I know that our generation, except now for Doc, he's at least, ahead of the curve in most people his age when it comes to this. When you go to a doctor, the doctor looks at you, and if you can't see what's wrong with you, he will ask you what's wrong with you. Now, that's to me not a real doctor, because a doctor sees a patient coming in, he already has a feeling about what's wrong with this person. He might ask a few questions to identify, to see if this person has maybe got some bad habits that has caused this problem. As like Doctor said in the beginning, there's no sudden deaths. There's no suddenly this something snaps. It is a build-up of something that's happened. And when I realized that my dad had some issues with maybe forgiveness or bitterness, and after asking lots of questions to other family members, I figured it out, what it was, what it caused it. And we'll maybe address it at some other stage. But he had to deal with this before he died. It's a serious thing, and that thing can consume you. It can eat you up like cancer, because he had cancer.
And I think, but I think where I'm also coming from is that we're talking about, the social media, and there is so much pressure on people to maintain standards and I don't think they realize how it affects them. People Photoshop their pictures and put it on Instagram. Teenagers and kids that you have these days are suffering from cyberbullying and all these effects that they are having because of, oh, that model looks like that and this model looks like that and I want to be like that. And I think I'm coming, I get exactly what you guys were talking about. I know I joined the call a few minutes late, but I want us to address all of those issues and how it impacts your daily life as a parent. Kids when we were in high school, peer pressure was like, okay, don't do drugs and, don't go drinking or don't bunk school, things like that. The whole dynamics have changed. And I don't think parents today know how to deal with those issues anymore that the kids are facing, So it's just very extensive. And, it would really be nice to have another session where we even maybe are able to discuss all of these things, because it's like, what, like Doc would say in his report, is everything has a domino effect. Everything works. The whole body works like one system, even though you have different organs doing different things. And when you go to work, or if you're in business or you're trying to do something, you don't have that peace of mind. You're worrying about your child, you're worrying about your wife, you're worrying about this. I have to go home and deal with that emotion. For instance, I have 5 kids, and each one of them, it's like, they're 5 completely different individuals. And you treat each and everyone differently, and the other one goes, yeah, but why you different? He gets a different punishment for the same mistake that I made. So I think those are things that maybe we should incorporate too in the future. And I really would like to get Nelda's perspective on that. So that would be very, interesting, I think.
Fantastic. I think we can start wrapping this up. Stefan, do you want us to have a word there before we? I think we've had a very productive session, and we can build this in parts and stages.
Roel, I really think we are busy with something that's like a domino effect that the whole world is needing right now. Exactly the same as what Doc said about he won't recommend something if he hasn't done it, proved it himself. The same way, I want to say, I won't send something on our Telegram group. If I post one other YouTube video there or something, it means I have listened to it. I know exactly what's going on. That is why, the reason why I'm posting it there, because we need to listen to that. Those are all stepping stones to help us to either better our lives or the financial things or things like this. I'm actually so happy for this. It might be small beginnings now, but I know in a short little space of time, we are going to reach epic heights with all of this, because this is the language that the people need for right now, the questions and so on. I really, really like it. And thank everybody that's here and everybody else that's going to listen to this over the period of time as well. It's so in season what we are doing right now. Thank you.
Great. And tonight I'm going to be presenting introduction to cryptocurrency and gold and silver and what the markets are doing.
Would you consider something like, if I may ask you, just maybe between me and you, or if you want to, if I say to you, Roel, would there be a space and time maybe that you can take us? If I say I've got 100 Rand to put in, and we start trading and we do something like that on a platform like this, and we try to help one another, or won't something like that be able to be done?
It will be done once the people have got all the basics, the sign-ups of the exchanges and that, because what I found was it's easy if you haven't driven a car before, if you haven't gone for driver's lessons, I can come and say, okay, Stefan, you drive me to the shops, and you're gonna know, you've seen someone driving before, but you're not gonna know how to drive that car. And what we found was, with people signing up with exchanges, it takes, normally that's why we have a paid session for them, because it takes between an hour and a half just to help that person individually get the thing right the first time. And we've seen that people 3, 4, 5 months down the line, they come and say, but we've tried to sign up with this exchange. And I say, well, who did you sign up with? No, I tried to sign up myself. And understanding when you're working with money, it's once you learn to drive the car, then I can teach you all how to change gears and how to drive more smoothly and how to conserve petrol. But we can't just get in and drive, because what happens is, if I had a call and there was 20 people on the call, tomorrow morning I'm going to have 10 people phone me and give me a piece of their mind because they're struggling with this, and it's going to take me another 20 hours to help them. So I would gladly help those people that, come on board and say, I'm committed, I want to do this. But tonight what we'll do is I will show people what we've been doing over the years and how the markets have been moving, and the time and opportunity that we face right now, because it is truly a time of opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I might not make it, but I will promise I will listen to the recording. I just want to see where we are and how things are as well.
No problem.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
What time is the Zoom call?
7:30 South African time.
So that's 6:30 my time. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you folks all later. Bye for now.
Thank you guys. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Well
Thank you.
done.